I was an idiot and cheated. I regret it every day. I met my ex while at university in 2014. She was beautiful and so much fun. We were 19 and she had a partner, but we soon started spending all our time together. We didn't technically kiss or have sex, but we were very touchy and spending a lot of time together, hanging out just the two of us in her room. We sort of knew how each other felt, but she had her boyfriend and went to visit him a couple times at his uni. I eventually came out with how I felt about her, and she agreed to break up with her boyfriend, and then we became official. It felt like it was meant to be, and we were crazy about each other. I missed so many lectures in first year, just spending all my time with her. After uni we moved in together, then ended up buying a house, and about 9.5 years into our relationship we got married 2014. It was the best day of my life. We had a great friendship group together, both from uni as well as with my friends from back home. We lived close to where I grew up. We'd spoken about having kids, and in 2017 planned a holiday, and were ruling out places which had the Zika virus, which was a thing at the time, because we were likely going to have kids that year. Then in February 2017, I was sent on a work trip for a couple of months to another city. I'd be there during the week, but back at weekends. I was there with a bunch of colleagues, most I hadn't met before. We would all hang out together for lunch as well as go out for dinner and drinks in the evening. Everything was on work expenses, so it was really fun exploring the various restaurants and bars every night with this new group of friends. One of these people was a girl who I bonded with. She was attractive and charming. We ended up spending a lot of time together, and both ended up getting feelings for each other, and I fell hard. She also had a boyfriend, but one night we ended up sleeping together. I regret this so much. I need to just say that, but at the time it felt otherworldly. It felt like it was meant to be. It felt like I absolutely needed to be with her, and she was into me too. I can only guess what heroin is like, but this was such an unbelievable high, and I became completely obsessed and addicted. Everything else declined. My relationship with my wife, my work, my friendships, my relations with my family members. Everything took a backseat. Every free moment was spent thinking and obsessing over her. It went on for several months. We spoke about leaving our partners. She said she wanted to marry me and have kids together. I had started to withdraw from my wife. I didn't mention trying to have kids anymore, and we didn't. I could feel myself starting to tear in two. I was still completely obsessed, but this other girl then started to back away, and deep down I doubted it would ever really turn into the life with her I wanted. My wife was perfect, but the obsession provided a sort of fire blanket over my senses and other emotions. Increasingly, the guilt and stress of it all would come out. I was crying constantly. I never cried before that. I'd break down in tears while cuddling on the sofa with my wife or while shopping in the supermarket. I'd stop working to find a quiet bench to just break down on. My head and my heart were a complete mess. I'd be on holiday with my wife having the time of our lives, but I'd still be dreading the possibility that this other girl would lose interest in me. And slowly she was. She'd text, asking me to take her out to dinner, and I would drop everything and just travel across town to take her out for a meal. But I'd come back feeling shit about it all, how she was just using me, and I'd promise myself that I'd cut her off. But the next morning I'd start obsessing again, worrying what I should do or say to rekindle things. She would sometimes ghost me for days or weeks and then want to meet up. I'd be on my way over to meet her telling myself, just turn around, just go home, don't do this. But I'd carry on. I'd see her, pay for everything, and put in all the effort to make sure she had a great time. But she wouldn't say thank you or do anything nice for me. Now and then though we'd still hook up, and I'd feel like I was winning her back, and she'd say she was going to break up with her boyfriend and wanted to live together, but then might just ghost me days later. It was torture, but it was also torture for my wife. She was deeply worried about me and trying to hold our marriage together. She was crying on the way to work and becoming depressed, and I was terrible at supporting her. All my energy and focus was elsewhere. This whole period is deeply shameful, but there were also some particular moments that I really was awful in terms of abandoning her when she needed me in favor of this other girl. At the time I was kind of numb to it, but I still feel awful about it now. It gives me a headache and crushes me inside. I feel disgusted about it, but I wasn't thinking or feeling like my normal self back then. Eventually my wife found out. She found messages I'd saved in my emails. The irony was that same evening in January 2018, I remember being with her and mutual friends, and as I left to go with the guys, while she stayed with the girls, I remember giving her a hug and a kiss and thinking, OMG, I love you so much. You. At last these feelings for this other girl are starting to disappear and my feelings are realigning to where they should be. I could see again how beautiful, fun, caring, and important she was to me. I felt like I was starting to heal, and then I got home and found a note on the front of the door saying, don't come inside. I know. Please stay at your dad's. I went in, tired and a little drunk, but confronted her, asking her what was going on. She was devastated, crying and screaming, asking, how could you? I can still hear her saying it and see the agony on her face. I went and stayed at my mom's for several weeks. We ended up speaking about it, but I denied the fact we'd had sex. Everything I did in this whole period was wrong, but I felt like I should hide that from her to avoid causing her additional hurt. Despite this, I still was unhealthily obsessed with the other girl. It was nearly about a year since I'd met her, and we weren't having sex or even kissing anymore, but I was still focused on her. We were still meeting at work for lunches, or I'd take her out for dinner. Then my wife said we could try and work things out, and I moved back in, but I didn't stop talking to the other girl or meeting up with her. My wife found out about that 2 months later, and I was back out again, this time at my dad's. My mom was too disappointed to take my back in again. My wife still loved me, and I think she knew I did love her too, but the trust was broken and she kept her distance. I was devastated, but also dealing with what felt like an addiction.